is an indicator to the world, not only to those in this said government, but in the world, that you're making effort to make the claim. One of the reasons that weakens us in our issues of regress is that most claims that are made by our people are made in the black codes. They either call themselves blacks, Negroes, colors, etc. It has no real power at law. They'll go through emotions with you because that's not a human being. It doesn't exist. There's no constitution that backs such people. It's a fiction. That's a fiction made up by the European nations to distinguish, like say for instance, like if you have two people standing here, say they're from Misraim, we call Egypt. So you got, say, a brother and sister here, both Misraim, and so the sister, she still honors her mother and father. She's a Misraim, or Egyptian, right? There's a constitution that backs her up, recognized by the rest of the civilized world, and therefore automatically comes into both national and international law and protections. This brother over here, he's Misraim, but he comes dealing with us, he associates with us, so in order to win our favor, he starts calling himself black too, because he's relating to our bloodline, you understand, not understanding that that's not relative, because he thinks that black is relative to a pedigree, is relative to a classification, a code system that was created in 1779 to classify both uncivilized people and people that are outside of government or national governmental principles, who were usually what you call indentured servants or slaves that have not their mothers and their fathers' names, nor their mothers and fathers' inheritance. So therefore there's no law that backs them up because they're property, they're a thing that's movable, it's called chattel. So these brands were created or coined to describe that being separate from a national being so that they can travel in society. So you may have a free man or free woman here, and you may have a slave here, but how do you keep the conflict down? The free man has a nationality, the slave thinks he's a crayon. Very simple. Are we understanding? Are we following? And see, so it doesn't ring a bell, or it doesn't create an alarm. Do you understand? So it's like, say, so a free being, a free national being would come under constitutional law protections and international law protections, whereas a colored person, Negro, would come under programs that would be issued to them under privilege from the citizens for what you call temporary recognitions. You understand what I'm saying? It'd be called civil rights issues, which would come under the 13th, 14th Amendment, which is a fraud, which makes them automatically corporate property. And so their children, offspring, are all corporate property. Dually set in motion already those procedures for you to get back to your nationality by claiming them for the public record. That's called nationalization. Ultimately, we're going to have to nationalize this nation anyway in order to save it, but that's another issue. Black's Law Dictionary contains definition of the terms and phrases of American and English jurisprudence, ancient and modern. Ancient and modern. Are you with me? Keep note, free white persons, edition 3, Black's Law Dictionary, page 817, middle of the page, second column, free white persons. Absorb this, absorb this, absorb this. Free white persons refer to in Naturalization Act as amended by Act July 14, 1870, has meaning naturally given to it when used in 1 Statute 103(c)(3), meaning all persons belonging to the European races then commonly counted as white, and their descendants, including such descendants in other countries to which they have immigrated. Now, that's your perception because that was the common use of the term, meaning the Albus or the Albions, which means Albus, Albion's sons, and even called parts of the land, particularly in the Washington State area, New Albion, when we colonized them in certain areas. Now, but that is not what it means, and this is here to clarify it for you. What free white person means, it includes all European Jews more or less intermixed. This is a caste system, I want you to understand. It includes all European Jews more or less intermixed with peoples of Celtic, and Celtics is Moors, in case you didn't know that, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Moors again, Latin, Moors again, Greek, and Slavic descent. It includes Magyars, Lapps, and Finns, and the Basques and Albanians. It includes the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal. The mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenicians, Moors again, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, Moors again. And the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia, Red Russians, Moors. It does not mean Caucasian race. Do you hear me? This is law book. It does not mean Caucasian race. It does not mean Aryan race. It does not mean Indo-European races, nor mixed Indo-European, Dravidian, Semitic, and Mongolian peoples who inhabit Persia. This is law case here. A Syrian of Asiatic birth and descent will not be entitled to become a naturalized citizen of the United States as being a free white person, ex parte Shahid, DC 205 F8 12 813, United States versus Cartosian, DC 6 F2 D 919 921, ex parte Dow, DC 211 F4 86 487, Enray and Exong, DC 271 F23. I want you to understand that that's a caste system. So when the European says that he's white and you agree and don't contend it because you're white, you understand what you did? You just made him the ruler of the land. You dig it? That's why they call themselves white. Because white means God, God means ruler of the land. And that's law. See how unsafe it is for you to use those terms when you don't know what you're doing? Calling people black and white and all that kind of stuff. This is an indicator to the world, not only to those in this said government, but in the world, that you're making effort to make the claim.